Good evening, Magic City Girl. Okay, I'm just going through some of the comments on the latest video that we and Fiona did this evening. Magic City Girl says here in Birmingham, Alabama, they just built a set of 4 townhouses on a tiny spit of land on a very busy street, not great area, just meaning that there's a drugstore across the very busy street and a few trees behind the townhouses. The width of the townhouses, there's enough room for a front door with about 2 feet on either side. There are 2 bedrooms, 1 full bath with a tub and 1 bath with only a shower. It's 3 floors, with the first floor being a 1-car garage and laundry. The second floor is the kitchen, living area and the smaller bath, and the third floor is bedrooms with the larger bath. They don't even tell how many square feet it is in the advert, and get on this, $3,850 per month rent. It's crazy. Wow. Now, one of the things that I've always been aware of is that in the United States of America, there's a lot of room. There's like masses of room. Everyone's got loads of space for a house. I mean, you go to Europe, you come to inner cities like Liverpool, where I'm from. I mean, yeah, people live in a tiny space. I had a friend called Marjorie from Los Angeles, and she came over. She was a pen friend back in the 80s, and she came over to Liverpool, and I showed her around. And some of these houses were like Coronation Street, you know, the terrace houses that are like big long rows of terrace houses with the front door and a 1 window next to it. And then you're in next door, like where you got 1 front door and a window next to it. And these houses are tiny. And she went, "Oh my God, do people really live there? Do people really live in these houses? They got to be." Now, to be fair, those houses went back quite a long way, so they were not as small as they looked. But you always see, I mean, I grew up in the 1960s, right, and the 1970s. I was a child, born in 61. And one of my favourite shows on the television was Bewitched. Okay. And Samantha, you've all heard of Bewitched, I know you have. Samantha was an average American housewife, okay? And you looked at her house and she had a massive, seriously massive house. If you had a house like that in the UK, you'd be super rich. And you think, well, that's normal for America. Everyone's got a big bungalow like that, you know, with an upstairs. Bungalows don't normally have an upstairs, but you know what I mean. Big driveway, car, swimming pool. That's normal for Americans. And they had telephones, doorbells, you know. We didn't have a telephone or a doorbell until the mid-70s. Nobody, you know, only rich people had telephones. I mean, Fiona had a telephone, but that was a business. But our house in Liverpool, we didn't have a doorbell. We didn't have a telephone. We didn't have a remote control telly. We had a black and white telly. And like, you're looking at Samantha in Bewitched, who's an average, standard, normal housewife, and like the standard of living. I mean, the refrigerators, that's one thing that stood out to me as a child. The refrigerator in the UK is probably as big as that washing machine with a door, okay? And American refrigerators were like as high as the roof. It was like a vault, wasn't it? And you could open the door and almost walk in, a massive big, and that's normal for Americans. And I thought, wow, must be so cool to live in America, because like everyone's rich and lives in a big house, you know. And from what Magic City Girls just said, she said about this now super small is the, and there's no reason for it. Me and Fiona, I sold my car. I had a Cherokee, a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Right, I never used it. I had a little scooter, buzzing about here, and I sold the Jeep because I thought, well, we're just not using it. We were going shopping, and that was it. Not using it. And then when my daughter, Lady Faith, passed their test. She wanted a car, so we got her a little Ford KA, and she was buzzing about. And we used to use that because it was so much cheaper to run, because it don't put much fuel in. It costs about 30 quid to fill it up, and we do all the running out, shopping and stuff in that. And she's gone to the UK now. She's a airline stewardess, flying all over Europe. So we finished up with their car, and it's great. We just whiz about in that, don't need anything extravagant. And I go into Gibraltar sometimes in the car when the queues are not demanding, and you go to park up in the multi-storey car park, and you're parking up and you think, well, this is a Ford KA, for goodness sake. This is a tiny little car, and the space is barely big enough for a Ford KA parking spaces. So if you had a substantial sized car like most guys want, it won't even fit in the hole, and you won't be able to get out the car unless you climb out the sunroof. Things are getting small and tight, and I think that's just total meanness, total utter meanness, because there's plenty of room for everybody. If you look at the world, we're all congested into small spaces, millions of us, and you think, well, that's not the way it should be. There's plenty of room for everybody in the world. If you look at the map and think, well, look at how much space there is, we could all just spread out. That's what we need to do. We all need to spread out.